What's up, YouTube? It's Jeff on 2. Just heading home from work. So some of you guys may notice, I know I've already said something in the 2016 Yellowstone motovlogger meetup. In that Facebook group, we have like a chat, or a Facebook group for it, and we had a thread in there where people were talking about different bikes that you'd be bringing on the trip. So I've already shared at least one picture in there. I noticed it was a really bad picture. It was something that I took while I was in a Google Hangout with someone. So however their interface is, I don't know how it was such a bad picture. Let's check out the bike, shall we? Before I go in real quick. But yeah, it's got the hard bags, very easily detachable without tools. That's something I really like. Well, I want to order those, the black and yellow plates. You can order those again from the DMV. That'll look really clean on this. But yeah, it's the 103 6-speed. And of course, at some point, I'll get intake and exhaust. But intake, exhaust, backrest, luggage rack, backrest for the passenger, my wife, luggage rack, and man, that might be just about all I ever need to do to this thing. I mean, this is sweet. I don't even have to do intake exhaust. It's it's a really nice bike. Sounds really nice. Rides ridiculously nice. Saddlebags are kind of a trick to get open, and I just showed you guys. It's not a secret, I guess. Oh man, it is very warm. I need to get out of this jacket quick. And my days at Long John's might be over really soon too. This is awesome. Oh, we got the fob. Yeah. I do like how I can lock everything down, man. It's got the alarm. I can lock the ignition over here. Lock forks. And then it's got the alarm. Man, I am ready to roll. Alrighty, well, I'm gonna not walk with my helmet and GoPro, and I'll see you guys later. Peace. Yeah, I traded in the Sportster, the XL 1200T, the super low. Traded that in, or traded up, I should say, to 2014, same year as my Sportster, but this is a FLD Switchback. FLD is a fairly generic identifier. To me, it seems. The F is just big twin. The L, I believe, is like high compression or something like that. And then the D just stands for Dyna. So it's just like a more of a generic identifier, I guess. I don't know. Everywhere you look at it, it's referred to as an FLD Switchback, never just by letters, Like I could refer to my Sportster as like an XL 1200T, and that's it. That's a very unique identifier. You know what that is. I mean, especially if I say the year. But for whatever reason, this is an FLD. So that's what I traded up for. I had been looking at a Street Glide or a Road King. And the only reason I decided, well, two reasons, I guess, I decided against it. One is the price. It would have been a lot. And I was already trying to take care of a bad loan with the Sportster. So, it would have been extra a lot. And excuse me, it's also fairly large, and it just wouldn't have worked in my life. I have tight parking where I go. I don't have a garage to keep my bikes in. You know what I mean? Or my bike. So it's not like you don't really want a big, expensive, fancy bike necessarily in my situation. So the Switchback was kind of my. I took off from first. That was awkward. Maybe I need to give it some more gas there. I'm still getting used to the clutch and everything. Oh no, that was second gear. That's why. I thought that felt a little awkward. Oh man, having these 6 gears, it's pretty amazing what this how this bike is geared, man. It is so relaxing to ride, so much more relaxing to ride than the Sportster was. Nothing against Sportsters, they're great. It's just when you're spending as much time on asphalt as I am, every little bit helps. So like I said, the Switchback was kind of my plan B in case it cost too much or whatever. So I did some numbers on it over on Friday. Oh, hey now. And I was running numbers on the Road King, the Street Glide, the Road King, and the Switchback. And the one that was the most doable was the Switchback by far. And I know that's kind of obvious, it's the cheapest, but I just wanted to see how doable, say, a Road King would have been. So I went into the dealership. I had planned to go into the dealership on Saturday. Today's Monday, by the way. It's President's Day. So what is that? February 15th is the actual date. I hate when people walk on the line like this, because then it makes me have to stop more on the angle when I could stop a little bit on flat ground. This dude's playing I don't know what that instrument's called. This is the first time taking this bike up the hills like this. The way I go through the city, usually any hills I have, I'm pretty much going down. There's not many uphills. Yeah, so anyways, I just rode through glass. Damn it. Anyways, I figured I was going to go in on Saturday and take a look at some bikes and actually have them run some numbers. So I wanted one of the big things with the new bike is I wanted ABS. And the Switchbacks, they all come stock with ABS. So, or standard or whatever. What an idiot, man. That's Uber for you, or Lyft, or one of those people. They literally just stopped in the lane. I mean, he just full on stopped in the lane and didn't even have his hazards on until I passed him. And then he was like, oh yeah, hazards. That's a good idea. I mean, are you crazy? But it's everywhere around here. That's exactly how they do it. It's it's kind of like double parking, but they just stop full. And I mean, they don't signal that they're going to stop. Just full on, they'll come to an abrupt stop because they're watching their GPS on their phones. Where the person's at. They're watching that more than they're watching traffic. You know what I mean? And oh man, things are dangerous around here. I love that diesel sound. Man, that's good. So anyways, I wanted ABS, I wanted a security system, and I was actually fine with either red or black. I couldn't really decide. It was kind of up to a coin toss. I was totally fine with both colors. So I go into the dealership Saturday, and just so happened that the salesman who sold me my Sportster, his name's Jeff, by the way, same name as me, yes. And I actually, all my Harley stuff I do is through Sonoma County Harley-Davidson. Really nice shop. Bunch of cool people work there. Anyways, I should know I've talked to most all of them, and I've pestered all of them. Man, I spend so much time over there. So I knew that they had in stock a red 2016 brand new, with the security system Switchback, and I knew because I had actually test ridden it already once before. Last year I test ridden a 2015. So, and nothing really changed. I just, I go in because I'm constantly switching between bikes that I'm looking at. So I'm always wanting to test how I'll do research on them and whatnot, read all the specs. Then I want to test out things. How do I like that degree of rake? How do I like, this width of tire or that? Like, I get kind of crazy into it sometimes. But, you're buying a bike, especially after you've ridden for a while and you ride a lot. These are things you really want to think about. So anyways, I'm going to say so anyways probably about 1 million times in this video. But I go in and I'm like, yeah, I'm actually interested in, he's like, hey, how's it going? Like, yeah, I'm interested in, I just jump straight to it. I'm trying to chop it up a bit here. Interested in looking at running some numbers on this switchback here. I'm glad you guys still have it in stock. It's configured pretty much exactly as I would like. And he was like, oh, you really like red or you want red or something like that. And I was like, well, I'm fine with red or black, to be honest. I knew I'd change lanes in the intersection. I was supposed to do that. My bad. So I was like, red or black's fine. I'm really either or at this point. And he was like, well, did you notice we had a used one outside? A used black one? I was like, oh, shut up. Like that's exactly what I was hoping for, because I was trying, like I said, I was trying to take care of a bad loan, which is, I guess, code for saying I was upside down by a fair amount on my Sportster. So the way things worked out, because of like warranties still existing and rebates on those, and I don't even know all the little like technicals that they do when they're able to wheel and deal, but basically I ended up getting my negative equity pretty much cut in half, or I only had to like bite the bullet by like 50%, which isn't bad at all. And I got a much better interest rate, and I got a bigger and better bike with everything that I want, basically. And it's kind of nice because on that loan I used to have with the Sportster, I was actually paying a lot every month, like quite a bit over the minimum, just to try and do something to the principal. And because of that, I've we've budgeted in a sense for that amount. That's what we've been doing for a while. So I'm just going to continue paying that amount, and that's actually still more than what this bike is, the minimum is. So I'm actually going to be putting, extra stuff towards the principal on this as well. But, I'm going to be paying the same thing, basically. So in a sense, it was like, obviously I owe more. I have more debt now. However, all things being equal, you take that out of the equation in a sense. I basically just did a straight trade for my the Sportster for this. Basically, and I got a better interest rate for it. So it's a pretty nice deal in my opinion. But man, I know I'm trying to do this quickly. I'm trying to do it before I get much out of the city. But basically, that's how it went down. I was there all day Saturday, got it all sorted out. Once I was shown the numbers I wanted to see, I hopped on the bike, rode a mile over to my credit union, got a cashier's check, for the down or whatever, and went back and just worked on a whole bunch of paperwork. And yeah, it's pretty cool. And then I'm crazy, so I get the bike at like I leave at basically 6 p.m. I go home, gather up a quick overnight bag, get together whatever things I need, throw my liner in my jacket, and take off on a 200-mile trip. just for overnight. I literally was gone for like 26 hours. I left at 7 and I got home the following day at 9. So I guess a total like 400-mile trip, because it's 200 miles each way, but plus a little bit once I was there. Not too much, but I'm pretty crazy. I bought it like just about exactly 13,000 miles on it. Like I think it was like 13,040 miles or something like that. So I'm just gonna, in my memory, I bought it at 13,000. But right now I'm at 13,594, and that's after like a 58-mile commute in this morning. So anyways, I'm really stoked about this bike. I love the 103 engine. I love probably more than the engine. I love the 6-speed transmission. This transmission is so smooth, and just the bike itself, the Dynaframe, it's a little bit, I'm getting used to it because I don't know if it's the swing arm or what's so different about it from the Sportster. I mean, I know it's a different size, but like, man, if I hit something with my front tire, it feels like the bike's, like, I feel more like it's in half, like they're not, you know, connected pieces. I mean, obviously they are, but I feel like I have more, I can do more with the front, and that kind of, you know, like does stuff, like it'll, if it hits a groove or whatever, it might hit it for a second, but the bike itself generally stays pretty straight. Now that gets a little wonky when you get in some really crazy stuff, because you're going through things, feeling the front all like, but the back is kind of like fine. It's a little awkward. It's I don't know. It's just disorienting for me. But the 6-speed transmission is just, you know, that 6th gear is so freaking nice. And it's so funny. I was on the trip on Saturday night. You know, I'm so accustomed to 5 gears with the Sportster that I pulled over to get gas, and I get back on the interstate. Like maybe a minute or two later, I realized, I'm like, this doesn't feel like it was earlier. And I look down, I'm going like 70 miles an hour in 5th gear, and I'm like, oh man, that, you know, I'm just starting laughing. So I switch into 6, and it's just like, I mean, it's like a world of difference. That 6th gear is just unbelievably nice. I can't think of another way to put it. I mean, it's very relaxing, not only on you, but it feels like it's relaxing on the bike. I mean, obviously it is. You're not sitting at like 3,500 RPM. Instead, you're sitting on the 2,500 or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, that's nice. It's longevity to your bike. I mean, in a sense, that's longevity to it's more life to your oil. It's just, you know, the engine's not moving around as fast as it normally is. I mean, I'm not a mechanic, but like that seems pretty, you know, that seems pretty obvious. I could be totally wrong in that, but yeah, I would imagine if your engine is going around less, you're not burning, or you're not like, you're kind of, I don't know what you would say, but like the properties that good, fresh, clean oil have, you know, are diminished by use. You know what I mean? So you use them less, they're going to last longer. Anyways, I really don't need to talk about that for minutes on end. The point is, I love this bike. This is what's going to take me to Yellowstone this summer. There's a couple things I want to, you know, do to it ultimately. Like, I would like to do some intake, some exhaust, you know, flash it. I'd like to kind of get rid of some of the, I don't know what you call them, dead spots, whatever, where you can just feel like it doesn't quite have the same torque, same pull that it probably should. So I'd like to do that. That, you know, that's down the road. And as far as the trip is concerned, I definitely am going to be buying like a touring bag. And I actually talk about that in the Facebook group as well. I'll have to comment, you know, I'll try and link the group, or I don't know. I mean, you know, I'll link to XXX Deadhead's channel. He's the guy, I haven't really talked about it, but he's the one putting on this motovlogger meetup. I've actually attempted to vlog about this multiple times, and they always end up being too long. So I need to remember not to let that happen. But I know I haven't really been looking around much, but I'm just trying to get through this right now before I get straight into crappy highway. So yeah, I'm going to take this there. I'm getting the touring bag. I can't remember what it's called. Yeah, I totally forget what it's called, but it's a really nice touring bag. It's the kind that, you know, you can either use it like with a backrest or on a luggage rack, or you can just you put the like bracket, it's like a cloth brace in a sense type of thing, that goes underneath the back seat, and then it has, you know, like harness connector things or D-rings or whatever, and you like connect the bag to that. Something along those lines. So I'm going to be getting one of those, and I need to still pick up my audio backpack or audio pack, the Cena. So so that I can actually get audio from that on my GoPro instead of having to hardwire a mic, which I can't stand doing. Yeah, so I think that's about it, and I'll be good to go for the trip. At some point I'd like to get a backrest and a luggage rack like I had on the Sportster, but that's not something I need right now. And even for going 2 up, it's a bigger bike, so my wife is not going to be as feeling like she's falling off the bike when I'm hitting it or something, because that's how it was on the Sportster before we had the backrest. It was pretty tight fit. This is the Dyna's fairly, it's not a lot bigger, but it's enough bigger. But yeah, heading out to Yellowstone, let's see, it'll be July 8th. I'll be leaving, I believe, with XXX Deadhead, Gabe, and I'm not sure who else. I would imagine basically anyone in the Bay Area. We'll try and ride out together. I think we're going to probably spend the first night in Elko, Nevada, and then the next morning or midday or whatever, we'll probably meet up in Twin Falls, Idaho. And I think that's where there'll be like a decently large group of us meeting up. There'll be the group from like the Pacific Northwest, the Bay Area, people from down in like Arizona and New Mexico, and people from in Idaho, and I think even some people who are like up in Canada, like the western side of Canada, might even meet us in Twin Falls. And then we'll all ride into the campground together, either through the park, go into Wyoming, go up through the southern entrance, because we're staying at the West Yellowstone KOA. So either go up through the park or just go up through Idaho. It kind of depends on timing. It'd obviously be like insanely faster just to go up Idaho. It's got like 80-mile-an-hour speed limits, and there's less traffic. But if we go down through Wyoming and then through the Tetons and through, which isn't that long, but end up through all the way through Yellowstone, that would take a long time and have much slower speed limits and much more traffic. So, and you're like looking out for bison and all this other stuff. So I kind of think we should save those rides for when we're actually in the park, but it all depends. I mean, if we make it to Twin Falls early enough on Saturday, July 9th, and everybody's there, we're ready to go. It's only 259 miles if you take the Idaho route. I don't know what it is to go through the park, but you got to figure probably at least 300 miles. But I would imagine probably more like maybe 320, or I don't know, maybe not that far. Maybe like 320, maybe. So if we left early enough, it might be doable. But I don't know how many. A lot of people might be riding to Twin Falls and have a longer distance on Saturday to get to Twin Falls. You know what I mean? So they may not want to be adding a whole bunch of extra miles in time. They may be spent already. For the folks, for the group that'll be in Elko, it's only 165 miles from there to Twin Falls. Yeah, I mean, so that's nothing. I mean, you could do that in a couple hours. Maybe a little bit more, but you're going through, the northeastern part of Nevada, which I don't think has a lot there, and then Idaho, which is like 80-mile-an-hour speed limits, so probably wouldn't take all that much time. So then we'd be there checking in Saturday, and checking in Saturday evening, or like that's when we would get there. I think we're all going to go out for pizza and beers. And then starting Sunday morning, so it'd be all day Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we would be spending, time going in the park and whatnot. And we're staying just outside the park in the KOA, but it's just like, it's not very far to get in the park. So we'd have a solid 3 days to do stuff in the park, and then in both parks, really, Tetons and Yellowstone. And then, let's see, then we're like checking out Wednesday. So technically, if we wanted, we could still, spend a lot of Wednesday, or not a lot, but a fair amount of Wednesday in the park. And then it would just depend, you wouldn't be able to get all that much all that far out of the park, because you obviously be spending half the day in the park maybe. So either way, 3 days is pretty awesome. But if we just did 3 days and then did another 2 days home, that would be not that long of a trip. I mean, but a pretty epic trip, I'd have to say. Right now we're talking about, or I think they've showed up to what that Prius doing. They're literally just sitting on the line, man. I want to like say thanks to these people who are pulling way over, but I got too many line dwellers. I'm gonna start calling them that. That's a good name. Line dwellers. It's easier than just calling them assholes. I guess they're not always assholes. Some people maybe just do it because they like to be right on the line. I don't know. And that I just plumb forgot where I was talking. Oh yeah. So people showing interest. I think we're around like 30 something people, which is freaking crazy. I cannot imagine. The biggest group of people I've ever ridden with is like maybe 12. And that was for not that long of a ride, and that was on crotch rockets, or sport bikes, or super sport bikes, whatever you want to call them. So it was totally different. Like I said, it wasn't for very far. It was like, I don't know, maybe 100 miles, not even 100 miles away. I don't even think it was that far. Yeah. I think it was like from Fort Hood to Austin, Texas. Like, that was pretty much it. And then back. So needless to say, I've never been in a big group with nearly 30 people, especially most of the people having cruisers. I know there's definitely going to be some adventure bikes out there. There might even be some sport bikes. But I know there'll be a lot of cruisers. There'll probably be maybe one, maybe two spiders. I could see that being the case. I'm being very cautious about my lane splitting right now, just because it's it is still a new bike. I am still getting a little accustomed to its dimensions. Nice thing though is I got these engine guards, so get a little bit of extra safety there. And then my wife was really happy about that. That was the one thing the previous owner did to this bike, was put engine guards on. So it's nice for me because it gives me a base to work on. I can now put like soft lowers on. I can get highway bars. Oh yeah, that was the other thing for the trip. I'd like to have some highway bars. I think that'll be really nice. I know last year I was on a Sportster without full-size floorboards, just like the half floorboards or whatever. Or three-quarter floorboards, I don't know what you call them. They were a little bit longer than the stock super low floorboards. Anyways, it'll be a lot more comfortable, man. A lot more comfortable just having the full floorboards, and these are actually farther forward than my my forward kit on the Sportster. So I'll be probably good with just that. But if I had the highway bars too, or highway pegs, man, I'd be like absolutely more than set. The seat isn't too bad. I started to feel it just the tiniest bit on my trip, but it was only just before I would need to gas up. And when I would pull over to gas up, I'd get off the bike. If I just like stretched for like maybe a minute, I was good. I got right back on. It was fine. So, and another thing is I was wearing long johns, and they have these like seams that for whatever reason line up like really similarly with seams on the seat. And so there's times where, depending on where my weight is shifted, I feel like these little like seams, like I feel like they're like on top of each other. It feels awkward, and after a while it's pretty uncomfortable. So I know that if I for like the trip, I'm definitely not going to have long johns on, so I'm much less concerned about it. But something I would like to still look at some point would be a new seat. I know everyone talks about Mustang seats. I haven't spent a ton of time looking into seats, so I don't really know anything about them, but I do know that according to, or at least, yeah, I would say according to the reactions that I see from people when they talk about, you know, upgrading seats and different things, it definitely seems to make an enormous difference. I mean, I know your seat can get uncomfortable, and it's a big, like, aspect of, come on, car, big aspect of your comfort level. But I don't know, I just never knew it was that much. Come on, Volvo. How do people do this, man? Line dwellers. That just reminded me of the movie Pineapple Express. I don't know if you've seen it, but there's like a line in there where James Franco, he says lingerer. He's always lingering or something like that. And it's funny because like that's what he's doing when he's saying it. Yeah, I mean, it's like, oh, you don't say, like, huh? But the way I just said line dwellers just totally remind me of it. Stupid line dwellers, man. God. And like, mind you, I'm a line dweller. Yeah, like that. I guess that's the joke of it. I should have maybe spelled that out. Because I sounded like it, and I was actually doing the same thing. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna get off here. That was probably enough of a vlog. It's definitely not gonna be amazing, but I might just stick with it, throw it up. You know, I'll try and put some pictures in because I'm not stopping up here anytime soon. I had thought about taking the Highway 1 route, which would have meant I would have stopped, you know, in this Muir Beach overlook, and that would have been a great spot to take some pictures, even just video to show you guys. But save that for another time. For now, you know, pictures will have to suffice. I will say, if you look up online, you know, the Switchback, the one that's like on Harley website right now, is the black one. That's the main image that comes up on the page. I mean, that's pretty much exactly what this looks like. Like, they didn't change anything except in 2016 they brought out the high output. So it's the 103 high output engine, which is the same engine I believe that like touring bikes have. So, you know, and that's cool. It would have been nice to get that, but totally not that big of a deal at all for how much I saved getting a used bike. Yeah, so you can look at pictures of that. I mean, it looks exactly the same, but it's got an engine guard, which that you can see. Yeah, I mean, it's your standard chrome engine guard. It's nice. It's like the kind of the angled one. It's not just like totally rounded, but it looks really good when you look at the bike from the back, because it like perfectly encompasses or encircles the saddlebags. You know, obviously not physically and like safety wise, but visually it's like just the right size. It looks nice. So I'm gonna get off here. Made it to San Rafael. It's probably a fairly long vlog, and try to remember to put those links down in the description box below. Make sure to check him out, XXX Deadhead, and I'll probably throw up Sean Smokes. He's another very prominent vlogger, but maybe I'll just throw up a few of the people I know. I don't know. Or maybe just XXX Deadhead, and I'll let you guys do a little research on your own. You could, if you don't already know about this, which it's likely that most of my viewers already subscribe to XXX Deadhead and have probably seen these videos, or at least Sean Smoke, or Giant Midget Moto, or, you know, Rotten. I thought of Rotten Soul, which is Gabe's YouTube name. He doesn't have anything on there, but Robert Rob, he went on last year's trip. And then a couple of, I think they're brothers, maybe, or cousins. They live in Idaho. I think they're getting into vlogging, but I don't know what their actual YouTube channels are. I've actually, you know, it's kind of funny. YouTube has like this really cool community aspect to it, but sometimes it's almost too big, and it makes it so that you don't have this this intimate feeling of like community that you kind of get when you have like a Facebook group or something. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just the way that people use Facebook, or I don't know. I mean, it's probably just because you're dealing with a smaller number of people. You know, it's just that's just like a human phenomenon. But it's cool. I've really gotten to, like, not really know these people, but I feel like it's a more close-knit community with this group of people in the Facebook group who are going on the meetup. So I'm repeating myself. I'm gonna get off here. It's pretty gorgeous, and the sun's just about down anyway, so it's gonna start looking bad. But you guys have a good day